essential part of any fitness journey, controlled articular rotations, or CARs. CARs are more than just a workout routine. They're a fundamental element of maintaining and improving your joint health and overall mobility. CARs involve slow, deliberate movement of the joints through their fullest range of motion, promoting joint health, flexibility, and injury prevention. It's like sending a status report to your brain about the current state of your joints. The key here is control and mindfulness. We're aiming to engage as much of our musculature as possible while we move our joints. This process is called irradiation. When you're doing CARs as a part of your daily joint movement, think about creating tension throughout your body at about 20% of your maximum effort. However, the level of irradiation is different if you're doing CARs as a warm-up before exercise. Then you want to irradiate tension throughout your body at about 50% of your max effort. This prepares your body and joints for the greater intensity that's about to follow. It is crucial to note that when we are performing CARs, you should avoid what we call closing angle pain. This pain on the side of the joint that is compressing or shrinking as you perform the movement. If you experience closing angle pain, this is your body signaling to you to reduce your range of motion for that particular movement. Incorporating CARs into your daily routine is a way to communicate with your body, giving you insights into your joint health and potential mobility issues before they become serious problems. Remember, the goal is to improve and maintain, not strain or sustain injuries. So I'm going to start off with CARs level 1, and with that, I'm going to start off simply. I'm going right now because I am preparing for a workout at about 20%, or excuse me, about 50% of my contract tension. I'm going to squeeze my arms, I'm going to squeeze my abs, squeeze my glutes, and I'm starting off just with the toes. I'm going to bring all my toes up, and then I'm going to follow and bring all of them down. All toes up, all toes down. And each one of these we're going to do about 2 or 3 reps on. Now, we're going to make this a little bit more complicated. I'm going to now take my small toes and bring them to the ground, leave my big toe up. Again, do the same thing. All right, then I'm going to follow up just bringing my big toe down. From there, I'm going to take all my toes down. I'm just going to try and lift my big toe and leave the small toes down. From there, we're going just the small toes. All right, now we're going to move on to the ankle. With the ankle, I like to actually hit seat. There's more than one way to do CARs. For this one, I'm going to go ahead and hold my shin down because I do not want the rotation to come from the knee. I just want it from the ankle. Again, contracting at 50% through the rest of my body, including that joint. We're going to go ahead and take that big circle. Try not to let your toes come into this. We don't want to flex your toes to create that movement. The movement should be coming through the ankle. And then I'm going to reverse about 2 or 3 rotations on each leg. Moving on to the other leg. Again, engage 50%. Start by pulling that ankle in, get that big rotation. And then we're going to rotate back the other way. Now we're going to follow that up. Next joint we're going after is the knee joint. So we're going to do a little rotation through that joint, and I'm fighting to go ahead and rotate through that knee joint as much as possible. Think about taking your foot into a windshield wiper mode. So internal, external rotation. We're coming about halfway up, rotate in, come down, keeping that tension through the rest of the body. Now, moving on to the other leg, same thing. Rotate out first. Think about making that arch. Like you're drawing an arch with that foot, but the movement is coming through the knee. Again, 50% contraction. Now, we're moving through. This is the only one that we won't have any tension in, and it's just the kneecap. So you don't want to be flexed all the way out or hyperextended through that knee, because that knee, that patella will not move. And you don't want to be too short there as well, because again, that patella won't move. You got to find that nice, easy spot. This one can weird some people out, and if this makes you nauseous watching this or even doing this, You can avoid it. It's not the end of the world if you miss this one, but we are just trying to see if that patella has any sticking points through there. Same thing on the other side. Small circles, pushing that patella clockwise and counterclockwise. All right, we're gonna continue on. This time we're gonna move on to the wrists. And with the wrist, I want you to pretend like you've got your cell phone on top of your forearm. And with that is, we're gonna make sure we never dump the forearm through that. So again, radiating tension starting with the abs, squeezing to the glutes. We're gonna go ahead and bring both wrists in, paying attention, looking for any closing angle pain here. If we have any, we're just gonna shorten up our rotations. So if I've got a pain here, I'm gonna say, oh, I'm gonna avoid that a little bit, all right? But I do not, so we're gonna keep going through, keeping that tension through the body. Again, palms should face you in the down position, and then, or should face the camera, excuse me, and then palms should face you at the top. So never going through here. We're not doing that, that's elbow. That'll come later. But we're just trying to isolate that wrist in terms of its mobility, going both directions, 2 or 3 reps, keeping that tension in, fighting for all of that range of motion through that joint. Now, moving on to the elbows. So engaging through the abs, stomach tight, squeeze those shoulders down. I'm gonna squeeze my legs tight as well. And we're doing a bicep curl here. And the bicep curl I'm working on is trying to rotate through that elbow as much as I can, keeping that tension through the bicep. Then when we get to the top, we're rotating out and fighting for all of that rotation through that elbow. Now, next one I'm gonna go on to is, I'm gonna go through the spine. So starting with the neck, we're gonna go ahead and engage again to the abs, squeeze the glutes, squeeze the legs, pushing those shoulders down. I'm gonna start by taking my chin to my chest. I'm gonna scrape that collarbone with my chin. Ideally, you want your mouth shut on this one. A lot of times people will get here. It limits your range of motion to the posterior portion of the neck, the back side of the neck. So chin down, scrape that chin across the collarbone, look to the side, get as much rotation as you can. Then you're gonna turn, try and dump the ear out on that shoulder. We're gonna open up, dump the ear out on the shoulder. Shin replaces it on that spot, making sure both shoulders are down. All right, reset, we're coming down. We're gonna scrape that chin across the collarbone, going back the way we came, keeping tension throughout. Really expressing everything that neck can do in terms of its range of motion. Let's go back again for our second rep. Around, ear to the shoulder, scrape that chin across the collarbone, relax. One more half rep back the way we came. Chin across the collarbone, look to the side, dump the ear out on that shoulder, open up, ear to the shoulder, chin comes to replace it, come back around. The spine is going to be very similar to that. And so, again, we're going to go ahead, squeezing legs tight, squeeze arms tight, and we're going to go ahead and just think about peeling that cervical, that thoracic spine, and then into the lumbar spine down. And then we're going to take the elbow and bring it to the opposite hip, creating that rotation. Now you're going to go ahead and flex to the side, creating that lateral flexion. Open up, getting a stretch of those abs. Again, paying attention for any of that possible closing angle joint pain. Now we're going to go back to that twist, come back, repeat, we're going back the way we came. So again, flexing through that spine, and then we're going to go ahead, elbow to that opposite hip, creating that rotation, lateral flexion here. Open up. Elbow replaces with that rotation. Coming back in. Reset, we've got 1 rep each side. Left. So we're coming down. Keeping everything else as engaged as possible. Trying to get that spine to really work through its full range of motion. Reversing it. All right, so now we've gone through the spine. We want to go after shoulders and hips. Those are our last 2 big pillars, and we've warmed up everything around them. So first thing we're going to do is just a shrug. Again, engage the legs, engage the abs. We're pushing the shoulders down. We're going to bring the shoulders forward, come up, squeeze back, come down. All right, we're back to center. Reverse. Again, this time I'm going to show you from the side. So again, I'm pushing down from the center, getting my shoulders centered in that position. Stomach tight, glutes tight. I'm going to go ahead and take those shoulders forward, come up, squeeze those shoulders back, pull down. All right, and then I'm going to reverse that, squeezing those shoulders back, feeling the muscles between those shoulder blades working, coming up, rotate over, and then we're back to center. Those are our 2 reps. Now we're going into that shoulder joint. And this one is one where anyone who's had any shoulder injuries, any neck issues, you may feel some pinching in here. If we're feeling, and more often than not, it's at this top angle. If we're getting there and we're like, I'm pinching at the front of that humeral head, we're going to want to go wider of that. So we're going to avoid that spot, and then we're going to come back into where we've got that range of motion. If there's no place that we can go in there without feeling some level of pain in the shoulder, then you're going to come to that point where your pain is just starting, and then you're just going to reverse it, and you're going to go ahead and do what's called a partial car. You're going to do the motion, the movement that you can handle through your body. But moving here, again, stomach tight, glutes tight. We're going to take that arm, we're coming across the body. We're hitting that bicep by the ear. When you hit a roadblock up top, and I'm trying to rotate through that forearm as much as I can, or through that arm as much as I can, and then we're getting to that top, and we're gonna go ahead and rotate back the other way as much as we can, fighting for rotation, reaching behind, bringing those knuckles into that back pocket, again, keeping stomach as tight as you can, or stomach at 50%, glutes at 50%. We're reversing that, we're coming up, back, we're hitting a roadblock here. When we hit that roadblock, we're gonna rotate over as much as we can, bringing that bicep by the ear, coming across. All right, again, we're coming up. This is our 2nd rep. And rotating over, reaching behind. Reverse it. All right. Now, doing the other side, I'm going to show you from the lateral aspect of this. So again, engaging, I'm squeezing the other arm tight, squeezing abs tight, squeezing glutes tight. I'm going to take that arm across my center line, bicep by the ear, keeping that rib cage down, keeping those abs engaged. When I hit that roadblock and can no longer go any further, I'm rotating over, fighting for as much rotation as I can, reaching behind, and we're going to reverse that. Coming up, opening up. All right, again, 50% contraction of the body. This is the 2nd rep. We're here, open up, reach behind. And half rep here, hitting that roadblock, rotating over as much as you can, fighting for as much rotation as we can possibly get. And then hitting that last portion. We're moving on to the final one. We've got hips to focus on. You're going to want something that can help you with balance on this one. Now, I use a dowel rod. You can use a rack, you can use anything that you feel stable enough to hold on to. For this one, I'm gonna go ahead, keep it in my right hand, and while I'm doing my left leg. So the way this goes, we're gonna, again, repeating myself, 50% contraction because I'm doing this prior to a workout. If this is just your cup of coffee warm-up of the day, assessment of the day, you're at 20%. We are going to take that leg, come across that midline. Now we're gonna bring knee, shin, and ankle up. When we can no longer go any further, that foot's gonna come underneath. Keep it underneath, raising that knee any higher that you can. Stomach engaged, opening up, driving through the knee, making sure the foot isn't the driver. Driving with that knee open. When I hit that roadblock, then I'm going to go ahead and do that internal rotation of the hip, squeezing out, coming back, squeezing back, glute and hamstring. That's half reps. We're going back the way we came. Again, tension through the body, squeezing glute and hamstring back, driving that knee back. And now we're gonna go ahead and raise laterally, using all that lateral glute median to go ahead and open up. Foot comes underneath when we can go no longer higher. Come across, pulling in as much as you can before you parachute down slowly. We're gonna do it again, one more time. Across that midline, coming up, foot comes underneath, keeping that tension, rotating out. When you can no longer rotate anymore, we're gonna then rotate that hip, creating that internal rotation. Squeeze back, reverse it, keep that tension through the body, knee and ankle out to the side, foot comes underneath, come around, pull in, and slowly down. All right, I'm gonna show you the same thing on the right leg, but I'm gonna give you the lateral view of this. So again, stomach tight, legs tight, especially the leg you're standing on. And then we're gonna go ahead, squeezing those arms, bring across that midline, coming up, getting that rotation at that hip, foot comes underneath, get it higher, work to get as high as you can through here, opening up to that hip. When you can go no further, now you're gonna create that rotation. Squeeze glute and hamstring back, keep that rib cage down. All right, we're reversing it. Knee and ankle out to the side. Foot comes underneath, rotate in, keeping that knee as high as you can, rotating in as much as you can on that external rotation of the hip. Come down. All right, and you may find that, like myself, one hip is tighter in one direction than another. Stomach tight, last rep. Coming across, foot comes underneath, coming around. When we hit that roadblock, we're gonna rotate, squeeze glute and hamstring back, focus on that belly. That's a cue for myself on this one. Again, pushing glute and hamstring back. These should be firing up. Now, out to the side, that lateral hip is really working to open up. Foot comes underneath, hip flexor, soles are working to lift. We're pulling in and slowly down. That is controlled articular rotations. My name is Nate Miller. I'm with Strength Builders. Feel free to follow us online. Thank you so much.